Good morning, students. In the last class, we studied about plant tissues. Okay, now today we are going to study about animal tissues which are different from the plant tissues. Now, animal tissues are broadly classified into four types. They are epithelial tissue, the connective tissue, muscle tissue, and neural tissue. What are they? Four types: epithelial, connective, muscle, neural. Now we shall study each one in detail. We will go to the first one, that is the epithelial tissue. Now you should understand, children, epithelial tissue means what? The covering. Okay, the covering of maybe the organs. Okay, the covering of the any body of the animal or the organism. Okay, so every covering is made up of this epithelial tissue. So it has to be thin. It is a covering, so it has to be thin. And what will be its function? Of course, it has to be protective. Okay, and at the same time, there has to be continuous sheet of cells. Remember, it is protecting, so it has to be continuous sheet of cells. Now, where is their location? It covers the surface of the body. Okay, it has to cover the body of the person or the animal or the organism and lines the various body cavities. Okay, what are the body cavities? Like inside the nostrils. Okay, inside the air sacs, inside the kidneys. Okay, so the lining of that is covered with this epithelial tissue. So internal organs including even your blood vessels. So inside your blood vessels, what are the blood vessels? Your arteries and veins are your blood vessels. So inside that also there is a covering of this epithelial tissue. Now, what is the shape of this? Obviously, it is covering, so it cannot be thick. Okay, it has to be flat and it has to be cuboidal, meaning it has to be in the shape of cubes, or it can be like columns. Okay, like cubes or like columns in shape. Now we come to the function of epithelial tissue. Obviously, it is covering, so it has to be protection. Absorption also, it has to be absorbing in nature. It has to be secretive, secretion. Okay, should also be its function, and sensory perception. Why are you able to feel something on your skin? Because of the epithelial tissue which is there on your skin. Okay, which is lining the skin. So its function is protection, obviously to protect your body, to absorb, to secrete, and for sensory perception. You understood? Meaning to feel. Sensory perception means to feel, perceive your senses. Okay, now we come in this epithelial tissue. There are again four types. So we are going to study each of these types. The first one is called as squamous epithelium. Okay, now you can see over here, put a diagram. The squamous epithelium, how are they? They are thin. Okay, they have to be thin. They are flat. Okay, with a prominent nucleus. And you can see these cells, they are closely packed with each other. They are very close to each other. They are packed together. Where are they found? They are found in the lining of your mouth, the nasal cavity over here inside, and your blood vessels, that's the artery and vein, and the lymph vessels. Okay, so all these places you will find this squamous epithelium, which is flat, closely packed cells with a nucleus which is prominent. Prominent means very clear. If you look at this, you can make out there is a circle part which is the nucleus, very prominent. What is its function? It protects the underlying parts from mechanical injury. What does it do? It protects the parts of your body. Meaning inside the nostrils, it is protecting the inside parts. Okay, if it is on the outer part, it is protecting. Okay, it is doing the protection function and it is protecting the body from injury, from germs, from entering inside harmful chemicals and from drying up. So mainly the function of squamous epithelium is protection. Now we come to the second type, that is a stratified epithelium. Now what is a stratified epithelium? It can be a mixture of all different types of epithelium. Okay, strata. There you can see they are arranged like this. Okay, different types are there in this and they are found in your skin and in the cornea of an eye. It is part of your eye. Okay, so there you will find the stratified epithelium. What is the meaning of strata or stratum? It is coming from the word strata. Okay, the stratified epithelium is coming from the word strata. Strata means what? Different, very lot of layers. Unlike the other one, there was only one layer, but here there are several layers. Understood? Now we come to the third type, cuboidal epithelium. Now what is this cuboidal epithelium? They are found, where are they found? They are found in the kidney tubules. You remember when you studied about the kidneys, there were a lot of tubes, okay? So they are known as renal tubules. These tubules, the cuboidal epithelium is present. Glandular ducts like in saliva, salivary glands and the pancreatic duct. So they are also present where they are secreting juices like the salivary gland in your mouth. Okay, there is a gland known as salivary gland. So there also it is present. Okay, also in the pancreatic duct. Okay, the duct, the tube that is connecting to your pancreas. So there also it is present. Okay, so this is about the cuboidal epithelium in general. Now we come to the next part, that is a columnar epithelium. Now what is a columnar epithelium? Columnar epithelium, obviously from the name you come to know it is column. Okay, column. Contains very vertical cylindrical or brick-like cells. Okay, cells that are arranged as columns in like bricks. Where are they present? They are present in the inner lining of your stomach and intestine. So this location of these is very important. Okay, the location of these things are very important. So where are they present? They are present in the inner lining of your stomach and inner lining of your small intestine and large intestine. Now the types, this columnar epithelium is again divided into two types. They are the ciliated columnar epithelium and the glandular columnar epithelium. Okay, the ciliated and glandular. So this is what it looks like, columnar epithelium. It looks like these steps. Okay, they are like columns you can see over here, and there are two types, ciliated and glandular. Now we'll study the two types, ciliated and glandular. Now in ciliated you can see on top over here there are small fine hair-like structures which are known as cilia. Okay, what are the cilia? They are thread-like structures. What do they do? They keep lashing. Okay, so anything enters like inside the tracheae. Okay, the tracheae is here, and what is the tracheae? It is a part of your respiratory system. It is taking part responsible for taking the air from your nostrils. It has to reach your lungs. Okay, to the alveoli inside your lungs. So that it is this tracheae is having this ciliated columnar epithelium. Why? Because it is constantly, this cilia is constantly lashing. Lashing means flying around like that, so that even if dust particle enters into the tracheae, okay, into the tracheae, even if it enters, it is pushed out. Okay, so that's the function of this ciliated columnar epithelium. So where are they present? In the lining of the tracheae, thread like protoplasmic projections called cilia, the free end. So this is the free end. This is the end that is attached to the organ, and this will be the free end of the columnar epithelium. So here it is free and they are made up of, there are hair-like projections. The cilia constantly keeps lashing and moves the materials which enter this region. So whatever materials enters over here, it will throw it out. Now we come to the next type, that is the glandular epithelium. You can see over here, this is how the glandular epithelium looks like. Okay, this part you can see, this is the glandular epithelium. Where are they present? They are present in the lining of the stomach on the intestine. Again, the lining of the stomach and intestine. What do? They secrete chemical substances. Okay, now this glandular epithelium, okay, has to secrete some chemical substances. At certain places, the glandular epithelium folds inwards to form compact, hollow or tubular glands, that is, sweat glands, tear glands, liver, etc. So some places, what does this do? What does the glandular epithelium do? It goes inside, okay, and it forms like a tubular place, okay, like it folds inside. Okay, now what does it do over there? Because it is making these chemical substances, they secrete the chemical substances, okay, and they store it over there. So that is the function of the glandular epithelium, secretion of chemical substances. Hollow or tubular glands, example sweat glands, okay, tear glands in your eyes and in the liver. That is the, what does the liver do? It secretes the bile juice, right? So there also this is present. Okay, so I hope I'm clear about the columnar epithelium, two types, ciliated, glandular, ciliated with the cilia lashing the things out, glandular like this, going inside, secreting the substances, okay, juices or whatever, chemical substance. Okay, now we come to the next type of tissue, that is the connective tissue. Okay, now what does connective tissue do? It connects one tissue to another and keeps the organs in place. Okay, so its main function is to connect the various organs of your body. The three characteristics: abundance of intercellular space, substances, that is the matrix. Now when you think of connective tissue, you can think of your bones, okay, or the cartilages. Okay, this is the cartilage, the bones of your body, your blood, the lymph, all these are connective tissues. So you understand they're connecting different organs, like your blood, okay, it's connecting different parts of your places of your body, okay. Then bones also, it's sort of a connecting thing. So when you think of connecting tissue, it is something that connects one tissue to another tissue and keeps all the organs in place. So first characteristic, abundance of intercellular space. There is an abundance of matrix. Matrix means, see this. Okay, I've shown over here. You can see this blue place. Okay, there's an abundance of this in any of these connective tissues. But if you see over here inside, are there any intercellular elements? No, there is no substance inside this. Okay, there are no cellular elements much inside this. For example, you can see the mitochondria, you can see the other things. Okay, so these elements are few, but there is a lot of this blue substance, that is the connection. There is abundance of the matrix. Understood? I hope I am clear about this. So there are very few cellular elements and also fibers are less in the connective tissue. Now there are also three types, mainly three types of connective tissue. Okay, we will study them in detail. First one is called the connective tissue proper. Okay, second one is known as supportive connective tissue, and the third one is known as a fluid connective tissue. So we will study each one in detail. Connective tissue proper, supporting means the bones and the cartilages, fluid is your blood and lymph. Now we first study the connective tissue proper. Now what is the connective tissue proper? It is mostly widely spread. Okay, everywhere the skin of your body, you have this inside the skin, you underline the skin, you have this connective tissue proper. Most widely spread, occurring below the epidermis, as I said, below the epidermis of your skin. Now I want all of you all to do the simple thing. Try to lift the skin like this over here. Okay, when you try to lift it, does it come out into your hand? No. Why doesn't it do that? Because there is a areolar tissue below the epidermis. Okay, below the epidermis, there is the areolar tissue that is keeping it in place. Okay, making the skin elastic. Okay, not letting it go. Okay, you know, like a rubber band, it comes back, right? So in the same way, there is a areolar connective tissue which acts like an elastic and makes the skin elastic. Okay, so I hope I'm clear about this. Now next we have the adipose tissue. Now what is this adipose tissue? Is a fat tissue. So obviously what does it do? Its function is to store the fat. Okay, like under your eye over here, you have a bit of this adipose tissue. Okay, around your skin also you have the adipose tissue. Okay, inside kidneys, lining your kidneys, also under the epidermis you have the adipose tissue. They are sort of protecting your body also, protecting the various organs or the parts of your body. Okay, third one is the fibrous connective tissue. Now, what is a fibrous connective tissue? They are fibers, or obviously from the name you come to know. Okay, it's a fibrous thing. Okay, it is connecting two things together. For example, tendons. What are tendons? From lower classes you have studied. What are tendons? They attach the muscles of your body to the bone. Okay, muscle to the bone is connected by the tendon. Okay, similarly one bone and another bone. Okay, between two bones, what is the connection called? It's called as a ligament. So tendons and ligaments, they are part of this fibrous connective tissue. I hope it's clear. Okay, now what are the characteristics? They have to be strong. Okay, they're strong. They can't be fat cells. They have to be elongated cells. Okay, and they are bundled by areolar tissue. Okay, they are surrounded by the areolar tissue. So that is why these parts also are elastic. Okay, so they are bundled by areolar tissue. Am I clear? Okay, so we studied over here three types: areolar, adipose, fibrous. Okay, so that's it about the connective tissue. The second type, now we study the supportive connective tissue. That was the first type. Now we come to that was connective tissue proper. Now we come to the second type, that is supportive connective tissue. Okay, now in supportive connective tissue, you have the first type, that is the cartilage. Okay, now what is the cartilage? For example, simple example of cartilage, the bone over here. Okay, this is known as a cartilage. Okay, it is not so strong like a bone, but at the same time it is quite stiff. Okay, non-porous tissue. It is a non-porous tissue. It is thickened intercellular submatrix. Okay, there is an intercellular matrix inside it. Okay, covered with some layer. No blood vessels or nerves inside this bone, the cartilage. There is no blood vessels or nerves present. They are semi-transparent. Okay, these cartilages are semi-transparent, meaning it is not totally transparent, semi-transparent, and also they are elastic. Okay, now the tip of the nose, external ears. This is also a cartilage. Your external ears, your tracheae. Okay, then the bronchial tubes. After the tracheae, it divides into tubes. Okay, those bronchial tubes, these are all made up of the cartilage bone. Okay, now we come to the second type, the bones, which you have studied in your lower classes. You know what are bones, right? So what are they? They are hard porous tissue, good supply of blood vessels and nerves. You know, all your bones are supplied with blood vessels and nerves. Consist of living cells. Okay, they have living cells inside your bones. Okay, till now you have not studied that, but inside your bones, you thought your bones are dead. No, there are living cells inside that are known as osteoblasts and a rigid mass of inorganic salts. So two things are present. Remember, there are osteoblasts, which are the living cells, and also there are inorganic salts. Now, what is the meaning of inorganic salts? Like calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, potassium, all these salts, inorganic things are present inside your bones. Okay, so your bones consist of these. So inorganic salts and osteoblasts, which are the living cells. So that's about the supportive connective tissue. What are the two types? Cartilage and bone. Now we come to the fluid part. Fluid connective tissue. Now what is the fluid connective tissue? Again divided into two, the blood and the lymph. Now what is the blood? The blood is the liquid plasma, the liquid part of your body. Okay, the liquid plasma. What does it consist of? The liquid part, that is known as the plasma, and there is a solid part inside your blood. Okay, that solid part is made up of what? RBC, WBC, and platelets. That is red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. What does the RBC do? What does the RBC do? Its main function is to carry the oxygen. Okay, it is an oxygen carrier. Okay, now what does the WBC do? It fights against diseases. It is able to fight the disease. What are platelets? Platelets help in clotting of blood. So am I clear? RBC, WBC, platelets. Now we come to the second part of your fluid connective tissue, that is a lymph. Now in simple words, when I can tell you about lymph, you have heard of a sujan. Okay, sujan, a swelling in your leg. That is a collection of this lymph in certain parts of your body. Okay, now you understood what is a lymph. Okay, it is a fluid surrounding the body cells. So all your body cells, actually there is lymph around it, the liquid part. Blood plasma, that is oozed out of the blood cells. Now what happens is the liquid part comes out of the blood, and that is what is the lymph. Okay, now this lymph, does it contain any red color? No, it is white. Okay, so obviously it will not have RBC. What will it have? It will have WBC. Am I clear? It will not have RBC, it will have WBC. What is plasma? What is lymph? It is the blood plasma that is come out of the blood cells. What are the blood cells? The RBC, WBC, etc. Okay. Now both are mainly concerned, which both the blood and the lymph are concerned with transportation, and also they give immunity to your body. Okay, it makes your body immune to the diseases.
Now we come to the muscle tissue. Okay. Now what are the muscle tissues? The muscles are found in all the parts of your body. Okay. What are it forms the muscles in your body. They can contract and relax. They help your body to contract. You can do your work because of the muscle tissue. They help in movement. You are able to move. You are able to lift up things because of the muscles which are made up of the muscle tissue. Now this muscle tissue is again divided into three types. There are three types of muscle tissues. Okay, as you can see over here, there is the striated, unstriated and the cardiac muscles. So there are three: striated, unstriated and cardiac muscles. This is the striated. Okay, the order is a little wrong. This is the striated muscle. Okay, this is the unstriated muscle and this is the cardiac muscle. Striated, unstriated, cardiac. I'll tell you what is the difference. This is where they are found. Okay, this is where they are found. The striated is found almost everywhere in your hands and legs and all, whatever you do voluntary, na, moving around, there and all, the striated muscle is there. But here, this unstriated is where you have no control over that part. For example, you have eaten food. Okay, it is digested in the stomach. Your stomach, there is movement going on. Bowel movement is going on in the stomach. Okay, that movement is controlled by the unstriated muscles. Are you understanding? Even the eye, okay, the movement of the eye, you cannot control it. You cannot control your movement, okay, most of the time. Obviously, you want to look here and there, you can control it. But otherwise, the movement is not controlled. It is involuntary movement. So that is controlled by this unstriated muscles. Now your heart muscles, they are known as cardiac muscles. These have to, now your heart has to function throughout your lifetime. So it is having striations, but they are shorter. Okay, compared to these straightened muscles, these cardiac muscles are shorter, they are branched and they can work longer. They are more hard working. Because from the time you're born to the time you'll die, this cardiac muscle has to function non-stop. Okay, so that's the three types of muscles. Now striated muscles, they are in the control of our will. Okay, we want to move your hand, you want to move your leg, you want to walk, you want to lift a book. Okay, they are control of your will. They are long fibers. Okay, you can see they are long fibers. Okay, they are nucleated. They are having, see this nucleus. Okay, there are many nuclei, bands. Okay, what is the meaning of striation actually? Okay, what is the meaning of striation? You must be having this question. What is the meaning of striation? Striation means bands. You can see like this bands. Okay, bands, bands. Okay, now what do these striations do? They make most of the weight of your body. Okay, 50% of your body weight is because of the muscles of your body. And which muscles? These striated muscles. Now we come to the next type, that is the unstriated muscles. Now these unstriated muscles look like this. You can see the shape tapering towards the ends and a little fatter and broader at the center. And you can see clearly there is this place, this is known as the nuclei. And can you see many nuclei? No, you can see only one nucleus over here. So they are uninucleated. They are called uninucleated. Then this shape is called spindle shaped. They are not under the control of our will. They are uninucleated and they are tapering cells. Okay. Now, where are they present? Okay, as I told you, in the passage of your intestine, they'll be present. Then in the muscles of your iris. Iris is a part of your eye, so they are present there. Then the skin lining of your blood vessels. Are you aware your blood is flowing through your arteries and veins? No, you are not aware of that. Okay, so these muscles, they are present inside the lining of the blood vessels. Urinary bladder also. Okay, your bladder, your urinary bladder, which stores the urine before it is expelled out, that is also able to control the urine. Okay, it doesn't let out the urine, right? So that is also doing the function. Why is it able to do that function of retaining the urine? Because of the unstriated muscles. Are you getting it now? What is a striated and unstriated muscles function? Okay, also in the uterus, that is part of the female reproductive system. Now we have the cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles, as the name suggests, cardiac, something to do with the heart. Okay, cardiac care, cardiac cardiac operation, okay, cardiac hospital. Okay, so this cardiac has to do with the heart. So obviously this muscle is the cardiac muscle is present in your heart, and it, as I told you before, it is a short muscle. Okay, compared to the striated, it is a very short muscle, but it is a branched muscle. Okay, you can, I don't know, I've not got the correct picture, but you can see over here, it is in your textbook, I think. You have the cardiac muscle, which is has to function non-stop from the time you're born to the time you die. So they have to work really hard, so they don't get tired. These muscles, okay, these cardiac muscles never get tired. Okay, so they never get tired. They are branched, they're striated, they are also uninucleated. They also contain only one nucleus. So they are a amalgam. They are a mixture of the striated and the unstriated. Okay, it's a big mixture of these two characteristics. Fine. So I hope I'm clear with this muscle tissue. We can move on to the last tissue, that is the neural tissue or the neural nervous tissue. Now last year you have studied about the nervous tissue. Okay, about the nerve cell. Now what is the nervous tissue made up of? Obviously it is made up of nerve cells. Okay, many nerve cells come together and the axons bundle up together and they form the nerve cell. So, quick revamp of what we did last time in the last year. Okay, you learned about this is a structure of the nerve cell. Okay, remember this diagram. This is the structure of the nerve cell. So, in this nerve cell, you can see this main body. It is known as a cyton, and this here you have a new word. It is known as a perikaryon. Okay, it is either known as a cyton or it is known as a perikaryon. And now what does it contain? It contains a nucleus. Okay, it contains a nucleus. And you can see there are these projections, hair-like extensions coming out. What are they called? They are known as the dendrites. Okay, and they have one big, narrow, long process. What is this called? It's called as the axon. And what does the axon end in? Many terminal branches. Okay, because what does the nerve cell do? Basically it is relaying the messages. It is relaying the messages from one cell to the other cell, okay, so that the message will reach the brain. So from the hands, the legs, from your eyes, every part of your body, the message can reach the brain through this nerve cell. Okay, so the nerve cells, the axons, this part, okay, all this part, there will be millions of these nerve cells in your body. So what happens is many of these axons, they come together, they bundle together, and that is how they form the nervous tissue. I hope I'm clear. Okay, so that is how the nervous tissue is formed, by bundling of the axons. Okay, now what are they concerned with? Perception. Perception means to perceive something. Okay, to realize something, to perceive something, to get something, and to respond. Okay, so they take the action, okay, and respond to the action. Okay, so both the things. Okay, last time you all studied about reflex actions and all. Okay, so all that is done by the nerve cell. Okay, so I hope I'm clear about this. You have to study about this part. It's also known as cyton or the perikaryon. There's a long process known as the axon, which terminates into processes known as terminal branches. Fine. And many of the axons, they bundle up. Many of these nerve cells, they bundle up at the axon and they are known as the nervous tissue, neural nervous tissue. Fine. Now here's a summary of the whole today's class, the animal tissues. Okay, now what are they? They are divided into, I said, 4 types. Remember we started the class with 4 types: epithelial, connective, muscular and the nervous. Now these epithelial tissues are divided into 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, basically 4. Squamous, cuboidal, columnar and stratified. In that there was only columnar, which was again divided into ciliated and glandular. Then we come to connective tissue proper. The areolar tissue, the one over here, the adipose tissue, the one fat tissue, connective tissue, I told you, your tendons and ligaments. Then we have the supporting tissue. Supporting tissue, you have the cartilage and you have the bones. Then we come to the fluid connective tissue. What is the fluid connective tissue? Your blood and the lymph. Then we went on to the muscular tissues, which are striated, unstriated and cardiac. Striated are the voluntary muscles which you can move your body. Unstriated, the involuntary muscles, you don't come to know about those actions. Cardiac, of course, to do with your heart. Nervous tissue is your nerve cell. Okay, all the neurons. Okay, axons of the nerves coming together to form the nervous tissue. I hope I'm clear with this. Okay, so that's all for today's class. So we have finished with the animal tissue today. Thank you so much, children.